Supposed to be under new business.
You have new business?
Yeah.
All right. It is your first, okay.
Any permits happen to be passed in the last couple weeks, month? You got everything covered out at Bunkie, right, with everything going on out there?
I haven't been out there, they haven't told me. I mean, I don't really.
Well, you got the blanket permit you were working on.
Well, that all changed when they got a new company.
Probably need to get a hold of them, right?
I don't know. I'll just throw you on. That's all.
If they want permits, they need to get a hold of me.
That's what we've gotten so far from Bungie.
All these?
Yep. He came and got the last three, it was about 16,000.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole system changed when they went to a whole new engineering firm. I've lost track of what the hell's going on up there.
They got a lot of equipment out there that they're setting up. So.
Yeah, I mean, they've changed engineering firms like 3 times. I can't keep track of it. You know, they had the first group that I really liked because we got all that squared away.
Right.
Then they fired them and got another group.
I didn't realize they're on the third one.
I'm thinking 3. I don't know.
I've only seen the 2. Seems like they've been the same because they haven't changed the trailers. You know, they got all them trailers lined up. If anything, they've added a couple trailers.
The first group was better working with me than the second group.
But they didn't get anything done.
I don't. That's
Yeah,
not,
that was the complaint.
that's not my problem.
They weren't moving them. That's why they got rid of them. Yeah.
They kept me more informed in this group. They were always emailing me.
Do they know about you?
We met once, I think, 6, 7 months ago.
Shit. Probably wouldn't hurt to touch base with you.
I think maybe, though, it may come in and talk with Elaine.
The last time,
Yeah.
they're bringing the plans in on a flash.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they've just been building permits at this point, so they're pretty easy to do the permitting.
That's good. That's good.
Any new business?
Junkyard.
I knew that was coming. Junkyard. What was that address again?
Who's that
It's
address?
on Washington.
Down on Washington Street.
Oh, right next door to Charlie's house.
Got a choice to make. Whether we want to try to utilize what we have now and go after it, or we want to wait till our book's passed. And then where we can start fining a lot heavier.
Yeah, the book's a little more punitive.
Uh,
Fines and all of that whole process.
And I'm sure there's some other places he's looked at too.
No, the Jeep house. I mean, if we've got something with more bite, and within what, 60 days, you think? Is that what our time frame looks like?
Probably a little longer than that.
90 days?
We don't have we've got a meeting in April,
Yeah.
and there's publication, et cetera.
Yeah.
So by first of June,
Yeah.
July or August?
Yeah.
Of course, if we go after it now with our existing stuff, they're still going to have to comply with our existing stuff, which would pretty well clean it up. I find
Versus letting it develop.
You could take a blended approach, and
Right.
that would be, you're in violation of our current ordinance and the following particulars. You need to correct it and be advised that the new ordinance with more stringent requirements and more punitive
fines.
remedies is in the works and will be passed, and that might motivate more action.
I'm with that.
I'm with that. I like
I'd
that.
say sooner than that, because I know it's coming.
Okay, why don't you do this? Give me the addresses.
Charlie says that he doesn't feel like there's going to be an issue.
Seems like the kind of guy that'll rectify it.
Well, I might do it. So, you know, again, peaceful resolution is always better, cheaper, and so on. And sometimes people just need a nudge.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be for houses or is this going to be for
Houses.
We got that one, like we said, the Jeep house, we probably need to hit them again.
The new UDO.
Because we tried it once. We got a little bite, but it didn't really get any traction.
Yeah.
Brad, where did we go with the Jeep house when we started? Where did it go to? Is it returned back? Okay.
There was a vehicle frame that was removed. That's
610
handled
Washington,
during the daytime.
South Washington.
610
They
South
cleaned it up
Washington.
to a point
Fine,
where it
608.
didn't look as bad, but I
Okay.
think it was all hidden.
It's still up, but it's underneath the deck.
Okay.
Is what, I think is what happened.
The issue we ran into last time was that there was a argument of terms and descriptions as far as what was a ongoing project, what was an abandoned vehicle, what was a temporarily parked vehicle versus that was, we got into the nitpicking. is what happened with
Nitty-gritty.
those.
But those have been sitting there for
There's a lot
over
of
2 years
gray
now.
area, huh?
Those have been sitting there for over 2 years now, I would almost put back to.
It's hard when you got a lot of gray area.
Just, it's good to stay in touch, though.
Okay, Junkyard House is 620 South Washington Street.
620.
These are like public notes. Don't write Dave started it.
Jeep house is.
Jeep House, who?
Main Street.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's Main, isn't it? Yeah.
Main-
East to Main Street, but we don't know.
And it's a rental.
I still have the letter, a copy of the letter that we put on the last time.
And we're gonna do a combo letter, like this is current and this is coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do give me an address on the Main Street address, though, and I'll work with Jesse to. Pardon me?
447 is the pre-existing, and then they've also moved some vehicles to 455.
Oh,
They moved.
they're expanding there.
Isn't that where they went across the way and just put it under that shed?
Because they were moved. So according to our policies and our ordinance, they.
Are they licensed?
That's the problem.
Are they licensed or plated? Can we tell?
Our ordinance doesn't cover that. Our ordinance says that they have to start and move at the time of inspection.
The county, doesn't it say licensed and?
I don't know if I got a copy of it, I can look real quick, see if I have a copy of theirs.
Is the new ordinance
There's a new
more cleaned
UDO.
up?
They got 70, if they're working on the car, they got 72 hours to fix it.
I think it does say
Does it
put
cover
it
the
in.
campers sitting around in these lots that haven't moved in 20 years?
Well, I don't know about
Be any of that.
There wasn't anything in there, I don't think about that. But there's other things in the new book about, I don't want to get into the whole new book here, we're not discussing that. You need to come to the public hearing when that's available to you. But it does say you got to keep your yard in a appropriate manner.
Being worked on.
Yeah.
Just because of legalese, it takes us a while to get through all that, but we are working on it. We got a new book out.
We can sit here and
We
talk
got
hours.
through
There have been 2 sessions of 2 hours apiece, and the public's invited, they're noticed, they're published.
We got
and
one Tuesday again.
This is big, so it takes a while to get through, but the consultants walk through, explain, answer questions, and the boards discuss potential revisions.
And April 3rd is the public, where you can
April
come in
3rd.
and view it and ask questions.
Yeah,
All right, give me a second, I'll put it there on the screen.
It says Public Plan Commission meeting. Oh, that's just March 4th and 11th, or 11th. Go to the next one. Because I think it's got a better agenda. No, it's not there.
All right. So where are we?
Just say 447.
All right. So, as you can see here in just a second, our wording is somewhat confusing. So here is the first one. So towing abandoned vehicle parts, abandoned vehicle, the storage of your shed is $35 plus towing charge, 1.5 per mile. Well, that's not even close to what current fee is.
No,
The current book fee is like $95 and like $5.
that's dated 1988.
We've got disposal, let's see.
88 again.
Well, see, that's a classic example of what we talked about tonight, abandoned, what, you know,
What constitutes
what does that
abandoned?
mean?
Yeah. That's where your specificity comes in.
Kind of like I parked it there at 72, but I remember where it is.
Yeah, I didn't abandon it, I know.
I mean, you
exactly
could
where
argue
it's
that. Well, there's so much gray area. And vehicle section, the one disposal.
Okay, so here is the other one that we used. A person shall store, accumulate, or allow to remain on any private property any abandoned or junk vehicle which is visible from public place or public right of way. It's hereby declared that the abandoned vehicle is determined to be safety, health, welfare, general public, community tends to reduce the value of
Touch melting in a
A little
welfare.
better.
One person shall conduct savaging of materials in any facility or container intended to collect materials. So we've got kind of, we jump around, you know, we don't.
What's your state ordinance, Brad?
It'll be very gray area. I think I looked it up before.
So we'll see if it'll let me do the search, sometimes it won't. Are we going with abandoned or no?
You'll
They're
have
right
to
there.
look at it.
And vehicles. Oh boy, it's big. Digging hard.
Computer's starting to sweat.
Thanks, I've been in
Use tag placement, which is not a big deal. Navigation. Owner of abandoned vehicle or parts responsible for the abandonment, liable for all charges, incidents, removal, storage, disposal, which is what we say within our town ordinance, counter from state law. We've got storage, abandoned vehicles sold by a person removed, towed, or stored. Your own vehicle is not responsible for storage fees. We got into that, the vehicle was sold or it was in the process of being sold. The discovery, that falls under if we just find a vehicle on the side of the road, that's what that's in there for. This is what falls under the 72-hour rule, which is for highways, 24 hours for right-of-ways, major highways.
Whoa, what was that?
Which one?
That yours right there? Or,
Towing shall immediately transfer a vehicle to storage yard.
oh,
If we tow it. So that's what
that's what kind of gets us in with some of our tow companies. They don't want to store junk vehicles, and that takes up room
Yeah,
for what they're
working
making
vehicle.
money off of. So that's where we run into that. This is the new law that was brought into effect, on the amount. We have to somewhat determine the cost of what it's worth. So discovery of vehicles on abandoned property. The person who finds a vehicle believed to be abandoned on private property, the person owning or controls those rental properties may obtain assistance from officers. If this is the property owner, the renter finds it, then they can contact us and it can be tagged. It still falls under the property owner to have it removed. Let's see here.
And then what happened down there before, the guy owns the property.
Towing vehicles on private property, if after 24 hours the person who owns the vehicle believed to be abandoned on private property has not removed the vehicle from property, the person who owns or controls private property can have it removed. Here's your issue, though, is that we're talking about a vehicle that's been driven down the road, pulled over, left in your yard, and the driver leaves. This is what I'm driving at. We're not even into junk vehicles.
Junk. There's that one abandoned.
Let's see here, for at least 48 hours without the consent of the person. Again, we're still into this all abandoned vehicles. Liens, that'll fall under the record company. So we kind of got a mix of things here. I don't know if junk vehicle is a legal term in the state of Indiana. We'll see. This may be something to repeal.
Not apply to a motor vehicle described in section 1. Owned vehicle, personally owned property, stored, personally vehicle.
For more than 50.
Then we get into salvaging and fair market value. All that.
What about your Shelby County Waste and Recycle District? They have their rules.
See if they got them online.
Is Mike showing still the,
Now, the issue we run into this one with the county is we ran into this issue, it wasn't us, but it's the county at large, is they ran into the issue if you take the wonderful 244 route to Edinburgh to go to the wonderful outlet mall, you see a property on the north side of the road just before you get to the interstate that has a very large privacy fence all the way around it. Well, that is his collection of old vehicles. So since it is his collection of old vehicles, he was able to put a fence up around it. So now they're out of view because it's his collection. They're not abandoned.
He's been fighting that for years.
For years.
Years. He is a sore in the county.
Yes.
I've heard about it.
Let's see here.
And it is unsightly. The fence comes down all the time. Then he puts them in the front yard.
Purpose or prohibit nuisance, solid waste accumulation, or waste accumulation, illegal dumping, littering along roads.
Accumulate, pertains to waste, heat, pile, mass.
Abandoned junk vehicles.
There you
No
go.
vehicle that has property without the consent of the owner, so we run into that issue because they're the renters, and you have that gray area.
That's on the
Consent.
code.
So yeah, any vehicle that's mechanically inoperable or incapable of movement on its own locomotion and that is not being held for or which is under repair to be completed within the next 20 days.
Valid state registration or license plate pursuant to Indiana Code
918,
20 days. Shall not constitute a defense in finding others an abandoned vehicle.
One time that was an argument because if I'm operating a vehicle on my own, I have to have it registered to the state.
Should not be considered.
Because I'm not operating on a roadway.
I say we send a letter to the owner of the property. Put it in his.
We did that, remember the
They showed up.
council meeting?
And they said they didn't want them there anyway.
Pretty much.
We also explained to them as the owner of the property, they have every right to tow that vehicle. And they don't even have to use them. They can just literally, on the record, say this vehicle is abandoned or junk on my property, that meets that 24-hour requirement under state statute, and they can have it towed at the owner's expense. We don't have to even get involved in it. But you have to have a willing landowner or property owner that's willing to do that. If not, I mean, it's kind of a gray area as far as what law enforcement comes into with it, because, you know, when you sell properties and things like that is what you get.
But you can say, greetings, we're at this again. In a couple months, it's going to get a lot worse.
Well, what I would like to see done is do like a 60-day time frame. Say that you have 60 days to mediate this problem. And then when we send that, along with the ordinance, along with the state law, Shelby County, whatever we want to include in there so we have multiple sources of information, say that if this is not remediated within 60 days, then we will start enforcement, and then at that point in time, it will start costing you money. The other thing I would like to do is I'd like to get a group of people to submit if they are into scrapping vehicles. We could include that list of companies in that letter as a means for them to be able to get rid of said vehicles prior to that event. Most people are running through your town and have abandoned vehicles. I always get told, well, I don't know how to get rid of it. And then I remind them that there's Integrity Metals that's less than a quarter mile away. But then they run into, it doesn't run, it's not movable, how do I get it there, et cetera, et cetera. Most of these salvage guys will pay them something for X vehicle. What you run into is what they think their vehicle is worth versus what the salvage guy wants to pay them is where you run into the issues. So the other thing we could do is also include in there what a tow bill is going to cost them versus what they're going to get from the salvage individual. So they can now see that compared to what the salvage guy gives me $1,500, where it's going to cost me out of pocket $300 to have it towed at their expense. That also turns into a civil issue as far as the tow.
How do we make this like a form letter?
Oh, it can be pretty close to a form letter, because, I mean,
Well, we know we got more than one situation. I'm saying we put together a form letter and then punch this out.
And then again, when the new UDO is in effect, then just update the form to accommodate those provisions.
We can use this.
But yeah, there's plenty of work with this.
Sure.
I mean, as Brad says, you can base your desire on current ordinance, state law. This is new to me, but I see it here, so.
Counties.
Yeah.
That's the county one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to keep in mind that I, as a Morristown police officer, cannot enforce county ordinances.
Right.
But you can contact the county deputy.
Or the solid waste inspector, or whatever his official title is, can come up and enforce said.
I does deal with the deputy.
Yeah, he's got body armor.
But I think if we do some type of letter where they have to sign for it, because I said the other night, more people check their mailbox than they answer the door for the police. That way that we have some proof that they received this. We have a timestamp of when all these letters go out. We receive them back. Time starts, we're going to give, not going to worry about when we receive that letter back, but we're just going to give a blanket time that as of whatever you want to say, March 1st or April 1st or whatever, 60 days from said date, we will start enforcing, said ordinance.
And you said the new is $100 a day after, was that it last night? You guys remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the new one.
I think it depends on, what it's set as, that type of violation is how much it costs.
So you'd be ahead to get rid of it now.
That's kind of my idea of putting the salvage companies in there. We're not going to solicit, we're not going to justify any company, we're just going to put a feeler out there for companies that would be interested in that and would like to provide their information to residents who are in need of their services, and that would be up to them to pick and choose who they use for that.
Just want to put that on the webpage, or?
I figured whenever we put this together, I would put this on Facebook, I put it on the webpage, and do kind of a feeler post on Facebook for anybody that's doing salvages that would be interested.
Not moving from that lot over to here, though.
Right.
To the appropriate disposal.
Out of our jurisdiction.
Yeah. Okay.
So you putting together all this, Brad?
I got it, we'll get to work on it.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
That's great.
Lots else. We'll get started.
447 is the original, and then it's moved into 455 as well. Any other new business?
I had a question. What, and maybe it's been covered in your new UDO, or, but I guess I didn't know exactly where it, okay. To build a new property or to a new structure, is there like a punch list of, like, to be compliant with as far as setbacks, or where do I find that, or, and maybe it's a place to find it, it's my own idea, I just figured.
Need an address, that way we find the zoning, and I can send you the zoning information. And then there would be a improvement location permit you would need to fill out. If the zoning would just get with you on all of it. Well, I can email, if you got an address, I can email you the zoning.
Okay.
And then you can go through it, and then you can ask me any questions. I prefer that you go through it, then ask me questions. And then I'll answer your questions, and then, if you decide you can fit in those parameters, then you get a improvement location permit. And the improvement location permit outlines what all you need to turn in to get that done, get it passed.
Well, that's your checklist. That's the punch list.
Yeah, but he was asking about setbacks, all that, but that all depends on your zoning. So I don't know where
Some of them have like this much, this much.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I want to make sure that
Where you got to check the zone.
covered up front.
Yeah.
And before we get on that road.
And while I got you here, I got a question about Fletcher. I think, did you have a complaint on the parking? So there's been a complaint on the parking over there, that there's a lot of cars. What is your plan on that? You got people parking in the backyard, spreading dirt all over the road. You got a plan. In the backyard, people are parking in the backyard.
Well, I don't know. I figured all the hell that got raised with night property for the last 5 years.
I
Where
get
we're at right now would seem like we're in Greensboro.
that doesn't give you the right to spread dirt all over the road where we gotta go clean it every day.
Who's cleaning it?
Well, I don't know. I imagine we'll have to run the street cleaner up there eventually or something. I don't know. I'm just knowing we're getting complaints.
Who's complaining?
None of your business. I don't know who's complaining. We've got complaints. Brad had to go out and visit. I don't feel it's all right to be parking in the backyard, dragging dirt all over the road.
Is there an ordinance on it? I mean,
Well,
You're not supposed to park in the yard.
I can find something. I mean, there is stuff. But
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
just asking you
there's
what,
plenty of things-
I'm asking what your plan is.
Find, there's plenty of things we can find on a lot of things if we want to go down that rabbit hole. I mean, I think it's kind of petty to be talking about some dirt in the alley about a property that's been the pain in the ass for this town for the length of time it has.
I understand.
But we don't want to create more problems than what it has had. It looks great. It's a wonderful looking property.
Yeah.
We want to keep it looking that way, obviously. I think you do too. I think you do too. But if you don't want to have it torn up by renters or anybody, I don't care who it is. But to maintain the property, if you got rutting out in I'm assuming it's rutting out in the backyard. And,
Well, I drove by, there's dirt in the alley, and I see 2 or 3 cars parked in the dirt that's not finished.
Okay, back up a second here. I need to understand where we're at.
Okay.
You got how many properties around town that are blighted to the point that...
We're not talking about that. We're talking about this. We're talking about this
We're talking
property.
about dirt in the alley. I mean, you're talking about a car being parked in the backyard.
I'm telling
You're saying
you.
that you can't...
We're talking about this property.
Neighbors,
He's got a legitimate thing going here.
your neighbors have called the police to complain, so I have to address that with you.
Are you gonna put a driveway in for all these cars? That's the bottom line.
I mean, I suppose we'll cross that bridge at some point.
I just want to know what your plan
When
is.
does the bridge need to be crossed, Brian?
Well, your new ordinance will require that.
Yeah, we require it.
But again, that's probably 90 days, give or take, into the future.
Right.
Okay, let it dry up a little bit. I mean, we're not exactly at a time where, I mean, putting a driveway in is not exactly the time, this time of year.
I mean, I just, you have, I don't know, there were 6 vehicles parked over there. There's not enough parking. So you've got to figure out something. I can go in the book and look up our parking standards and say, hey, you got to do this and this. I just want to know if you had a plan for it.
Is this house in town center?
Huh?
In town
Yeah.
center? Okay.
Because, yeah, the police have been called. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it, that there's been a complaint. So I drove by.
I'm gonna bite my tongue today.
Okay.
That's good. We'll get the book put there now.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Do you want me to look more into this parking
Well,
standard?
if you see something right off the bat that,
Okay. Nothing that says, is your complaint that they're parking in the grass, Jesse, and dragging all the mud out?
the neighborhood complaint was they're parking in the street.
Okay.
I drove by, you got people parked, there was a car in the street. I mean, half the street was only available. In the back, and there is something in the book.
So for the first line of parking standards for Town Center District says, purpose of these standards is to reduce traffic problems and therefore provide for public safety by eliminating unnecessary on-street parking and establishing appropriate locations and numbers of off-street parking spaces for uses in each zoning district. And then the general requirements are no off-street parking spaces may fully or partially be located in a public right-of-way, septic field, or required buffered yard. No parking spaces located in a garage for a single or two-family residence shall be counted toward meeting the requirement for these. It goes on to say, access. All required parking spaces must be designed to provide direct access to roadways for vehicles. In no case may areas that do not have direct access be considered a parking space, meeting the requirements of these standards. And then it speaks to dimensions and interior drive dimensions.
Okay.
Yeah, town center.
That's town center district.
So my question was just what's your plan? I mean,
Well, I mean, I guess my question is why that property being singled out? If you drive down South Street, there's cars parked on both sides of the street every night.
I think it's being singled out because there's been a complaint and law enforcement have gone there, and so it's just been brought to our attention.
There's also parking on South Street, off the street.
there's all street.
But most of the cars are parked on the street every night if you go up and down the street.
But the street's wider and it has pull-off for parking on South Street.
It's much wider.
Mm-hmm.
And
Here it's not.
how much traffic goes down Fletcher?
It doesn't matter how much traffic, it doesn't matter if the vehicle is obstructing vehicular traffic. Technically, you can do parking or you can do obstruction of vehicular traffic, which is a misdemeanor and it's a jailable offense. Parking is an infraction.
So we've identified an issue. What Jesse wants is just a plan on like how we're going to correct
We have
the
this
issue.
in cars. I mean, I just want to know the plan if there is one, and if there isn't, then maybe you and I can sit down and come up with a plan. Because, I mean, the police have been called, and I don't know what the outcome of that call was. I mean, Brad could
I
probably.
mean, what did they get called on? Because they ran into one?
No, because they're blocking
Because
the
they're in the
street.
traffic, so they're obstructing the eastbound traffic, causing cars to have to go into the opposite lane to make it around them.
How many people live in the house?
Hmm?
How many people live in the house? You have that many cars?
No, is that
It
bad?
wasn't two vehicles, it was just somebody.
Yeah.
Supposed to be an issue. I mean, that house has got more bedroom, you figure it. And they cut back half of it. Fletcher.
Fletcher.
Was it one,
217.
217 Fletcher?
I guess I just feel like there's a lot of other things that are probably a higher priority than a car parked on Fletcher. Just my opinion. We'll get to it, we'll address it, but I think there's a few things that are a little higher priority around that have gotten overlooked.
Well, we're working on those too. I mean, I'm not, but, you know,
He's just bringing the issue that involves your property.
you know, I didn't want to give you hell over it, but I just want to know your plan, because it's an issue that neighbors are complaining about, and the police have been called.
So can I complain about the neighbors around there? And
If you get on the agenda, you can complain about anybody you want. But you're not on the agenda, so.
There it is. Okay.
Okay, any other new business?
I got nothing.
No? Nobody? Get out now.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Larry made it.
Larry made it first and second, somebody.
Second.
All right.
Wait a second.
All in favor? All right.
We got a meeting.
See you next.